Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma here, and a little bit of a discussion. So as you may have seen in the news, if you are following, or if even you're a fan of the channel, I am a massive Disney movie fan. Now there is rumours, this hasn't officially been announced, that Disney will go back to 2D animation. Is this the right way to go? Is this the wrong way to go? Is this even official, or is this just a rumour mill circulating for whatever reason? Now, I'm very much 50-50 on this. If you would have followed my channel before or know about me, I'm a big fan of animation. I got into art at a young age. I do like drawing, not as much so normally. I'm a big fan of anime as well as animation. This is the Japanese side of things. Obviously, animation is, everything Disney and all that. I have most of the Disney stuff. There isn't much I don't own. And I love classic Disney. I do love new Disney as well. I like a lot of the live action ones. Snow White wasn't the best, but take that for what it is. So Disney's back. Now, Disney have very much been branching out into a lot more CG. The styles have gone on. To be honest, the last one that I kind of properly watched was Wish, and I did really enjoy that. I quite liked their style for it. It wasn't the biggest story, but it definitely encompassed what Disney is. The songs were quite catchy in that. There have been a lot of sequels and stuff like Moana 2 and stuff like that. I don't think quite have hit the tone of Disney or resonated with Disney as much. It still looked very, very nice. There were just a lot of story and music and stuff that just didn't seem... It was like they were phoning it in almost, even though the quality was there. Now, obviously, we came from a world where Avatar amazed people with what CG can do. And then we had bigger studios, and this is what has happened in this world, that we've gone from, the Star Wars, studio who did exceptional stuff, and then obviously James Cameron with Avatar did amazing stuff, to then more and more these studios pop up and these productions pop up, and you basically get what you pay for. So what used to be the cost now is there's so many, as far as I'm aware, like CG studios out there, and that people that can easily do this stuff, that you have to pay a premium to get the great stuff, or you get the bog standard stuff for what would have been the old kind of normal price. And this then leads to like what Marvel Studios have been through, obviously, trying to save money of these actors and actresses that have had multiple film contracts, and obviously their money goes up and up and up. The budget of the films doesn't really go up, and obviously when the actors and actresses have more money, obviously what you have to spend outside of that goes down and down and down. And then you're like, well, we had 50 million to spend on CGI. We now only have 20 million. What can we get for that? Unfortunately, that may have been good enough 10, 15 years ago, but now you get, Gary in his garage just plonking away. I know it's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's what you get. And to get the top ones, you now need to spend like 100 million to get it. Even look at like Elio, cost 150 million to make, and you look at standard. I haven't seen that movie, but most Disney, you're looking at 100 probably, or most movies would be 100 to 150 million, I imagine, to get a good animation feel and style and stuff like that. And just these films don't necessarily have it, just because of that. CG is everywhere. Obviously, people are probably a bit sick of it, like the Marvel movies and stuff like this. And obviously, there are bad cases of it. There are even good stuff like How to Train Your Dragon. It had a few bits that I don't think quite worked. That was just blending of the elements, personally. So why am I saying that I'm on the fence of this? Like, there is too much CG out there. A lot of people cherish the Disney movies of the past, of the 90s, Aladdin and stuff like this. My favourite, Tarzan, blends a bit of CG and 2D animation, and that worked really well, even though it hasn't been regarded as the best or one of the greatest Disney movies out there. Be what it is. Phil Collins didn't give all his worth for a great soundtrack for a rubbish movie. So, but I can see that obviously Disney have had Wish. I think Wish did all right. Strange World didn't do that well. I think Lilo is looking out that it won't do as good. Obviously, you have the live action stuff. Lilo and Stitch is almost at $1 billion. I think it's 930 million. It made off 100 million budget. That's great. Mixture of live action. You don't need as much CD for that. It's mainly the character of Stitch and a few other little bits that you focus maybe in bits of the world and stuff. So I can understand them deciding that there is so much CG out there, and obviously this shifting costs of how much stuff great CG costs in regard to what the average is paid, and what actors and actresses there, because obviously you get to use and I'll use the emphasis of or the example of Chris Pratt. He's voiced Mario, he's voiced Garfield, he's voiced the Lego Movie. He's in a lot of stuff. The amount of money it costs to employ him is probably going up and up and up in his fee, and obviously that brings then the budget down, down, down of what you have left to do this stuff. Specifically, probably a lot of the animated studios and the talent behind that are getting nowhere near what the person who just sits in the booth and voices it. I'm not taking away from voice actors. I'm just saying there is a talent, and obviously being an artist and knowing what it takes. So I welcome the fact. I hope that they do actually go, because obviously it's a shift. There's so much CG out there. Let's go away from it, and let's know it shows talent. If you are an artist, if you've been an artist, if you sit there and someone gives you a bit of paper and a pen and go draw something, that is hard. Now, if someone said give you a computer and draw something, once you know those skills, it becomes a lot easier. You can erase stuff, you can change stuff, you can alter it, you can have tools where you can color stuff in, with a click of a button, you filled one in one color and tones and stuff like this, or you can take an effect and then replicate it. You cannot do this in real life. This is where computers do take away talent of people. Now, I'm not saying digital art and computer art isn't a good skill to have and to know, but when it comes to, if you give somebody with a tablet and you get them to do something, and then you took that person and go, right, that was an amazing bit of art. Now here's some paper, here's some pens, here's some colour. Now do the same. They would not be able to replicate that, or a lot of modern digital artists probably couldn't replicate that on paper without probably having to do the thing 15 billion times. Whereas a lot of people who work in the physical media side of things, you notice there's a lot more skill to that. My personal preference, maybe you disagree. So I welcome that. It brings a lot of skilled people back where we're not relying on AI and computers to do a lot. It creates jobs. It helps the industry flourish and shows more natural talent, which I think they are lacking a little bit of in cases. So that's why I hope for Disney while they do that. But the little kind of reservation of why I'm 50-50, I would love them to bring that. But the thing you have, it's phoning it in, and this is what I've said about Wish. Wish was nice and good, and it was great, but there are movies after it, like Moana 2, that just felt like they were phoning it in, and that's the one thing. You can change the style, you can change what effects they are doing, and and do it 2D animation, have the painted background and look really, really nice. But at the end of the day, you need good people, really good stories, and really good, teams working on it to flesh it out and to make sure it's a great story, not just, well, we're going to go back to 2D animation because we can do this, and maybe that bringing people in who are after desperate jobs because they've struggled to find a job, and CGs are the popular thing and you can hire them cheaper. Don't then phone the rest of it in. You need proper ideas. Disney need to sit down with it, sit in a room with the top creators or get some creators back. I think like they're rumored they have been, and then throw out like 10, 15, ideas that they're going to hash at, and then go, right, these are like, even like how the ideas of Stitch and that come up with these great ideas and go, right, these we think are really, really good ideas. This is the next 15 years of our journey. And then stick with that, and maybe have a few left that they could then develop as they go along for future films. And this is where companies need to look, I think, a little bit more forward to the future than rather just like, we'll go back to 2D, but we've got these two films and we'll do these two films and that'll be it. And then you're stuck, and this is where kind of Marvel are after they had they're kind of bumbling around because there is no plan. They just, we'll do what we do, and we'll react to how the movies are as it comes out, and that's, I think, a bad way. Sun Tzu, in his Art of War, he depicts and describes like a genius. A genius is somebody who sees something before it even happens and reacts to it. You are a good person, you are a very smart person if something happens and you fix that. But a genius is somebody who can see that coming, and that's the kind of what, you don't look in the small scale. As humans, we do look in the small scale. We think about ourselves too much, and all this may affect us, and that not will it affect our children? Will it affect our children's children? How can sorry, sidetrack. But yeah, anyway, that is my thought on the whole Disney going back to 2D. I hope it does. As I say, I have reservations. They need great ideas. Hopefully, there will be an official release soon about that. Are you a Disney fan? Do you agree, disagree? Do you like 2D animation? Do you prefer CGI? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. If you've come across this video and you've not seen me before, or you quite like what I'm talking about and want to engage in conversation, and maybe think, you might want to watch some of my other videos, there's plenty more to watch on my channel. I've got a lot of playlists of stuff, or just click that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. It helps the algorithm of YouTube to show that people like me and what sort of stuff and content to put out there, of what people more enjoy. Otherwise, I've been Sigma Screen Time. Have a nice day, whatever you are doing, and I shall definitely see you in the next.